All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you all for showing up this morning to officially welcome back Kelly Krauskopf as President of Basketball Business Operations for the Indiana Fever.
Kelly Krauskopf as the President of Basketball Business Operations for the Indiana Fever. What if the one person who has the potential to take the WNBA to new heights is also the one that the league's establishment is covertly attempting to destroy? The question may seem like a paranoid fantasy, but millions of fans believe that Caitlin Clark is the target of a covert war due to a string of startling on-court incidents, acrimonious off-court remarks, and a ruthless, callous decision from the highest levels of authority. The reality of this developing story is much darker and more complicated than anyone could have predicted, exposing a league at odds with its own prosperity. The Indiana Fever selection of Caitlin Clark with the first overall pick was hailed as a historic moment that would change the course of women's professional basketball. She wasn't your average gifted rookie. She was a marauding supernova and a cultural force of nature who had radically changed college viewership and record books. MLB playoff games and Stanley Cup finals were not drawing as many spectators as her contests. The league was forced to switch from commercial planes to private charters by her alone. She was the golden goose, the selected one. Veterans had been calling for this change for years. Tickets on the secondary market skyrocketed to previously unheard of levels, and arenas that had earlier had seas of empty seats were selling out in minutes. The impact of Caitlin Clark was immediate, palpable, and genuine. Everything was lined up for a magnificent coronation, a hero's entry into the professional ranks that would elevate the sport as a whole. Instead, she was subjected to a cruel, unrelenting fire baptism. A gauntlet replaced the welcome mat that had been removed from under her. It was terrifyingly obvious from her first game that this would not be a smooth adjustment. The physicality existed on a completely different level. Defenders weren't only taking up space, they were also larger, stronger, and quicker. With each bump, shove, and hard creen, they were conveying a message. However, this was more than just a formidable, expert defense. It was so intimate. It was a targeted, brutal campaign that appeared to have been painstakingly planned to punish her and make her doubt her place in this league, in addition to keeping her in check. And that unsaid message was about to be conveyed in the most blatant, indisputable manner imaginable, igniting a flurry of controversy that would pull back the curtain and reveal the gloom, mash the league's bitter underbelly. The blows she was receiving on the court were only the beginning of a worse tale. It was during a heated game against the Chicago Sky that everyone in the sports world realized something was seriously, profoundly wrong. It wasn't a tough box out under the rim or a hard screen. While battling for position, Kennedy Carter delivered a brutal blindside shoulder check that had no place in the game of basketball. Carter assaulted Clark in addition to committing a foul. Clark was thrown forcibly to the ground by a cheap, cowardly, and obvious shot that was delivered far from the ball. The world erupted in a unified cry of protest as soon as the play got viral. This wasn't a welcome to the league musical moment. This message was delivered with malicious intent and was an intentional attempt to do harm. Together with her partner, Angel Reese's obvious joyous celebration on the sidelines, Carter's arrogant refusal to respond to any inquiries regarding the incident following only served to fan the flames. This one unpleasant event turned into a metaphor for all that was wrong, revealing the long-standing animosity and jealousy that many had believed were simmering beneath the surface of the league. Fans learned everything they needed to know from the WNBA's pitiful initial response, which was a mere common foul that was only raised to a flagrant one after intense public criticism. The biggest star in the league would not be shielded. Caitlin Clark was by herself. There was more than one player on one team involved in this conflict. The phenomenon spread throughout the entire league. It was a concerted effort by veterans who believed she had not paid her dues or earned her stripes. However, a much more terrifying story started to surface from a place no one wanted to believe, her own locker room, while everyone else was discussing the foul and the league's cowardice. As the season went on, a very unsettling trend emerged that was impossible for professional basketball experts, retired players, and internet detectives to ignore. Arguably the world's best shooter, Caitlin Clark, would be wide open on the perimeter, hands up, calling for the ball on new,